Imagine waking up one day to find your spouse has lost touch with reality. They believe that an AI chatbot is God, that it speaks ancient truths, remembers past lives, and is revealing your spouse's secret and sacred destiny. Though it sounds like a sci-fi movie, unfortunately, it's not. It's happening as we speak. I had planned to continue our study of Neil Postman's book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, but when I came across this recent article in Rolling Stone on this topic, I felt that it was worth taking a look at. So instead of Neil Postman this week, we're going to look at one of the strangest and most unsettling developments at the intersection of technology and the human psyche. I haven't gotten into the weeds much with AI and other current technologies on this channel, largely because I would prefer to look at and to understand the bigger picture first. That said, there are occasions when addressing a current topic seems to make sense. So that's where we are this week. So what exactly are we talking about? There's a growing phenomena of what some are referring to as ChatGPT psychosis, where people begin to outsource their sense of identity, purpose, and even spirituality to generative AI models. Not surprisingly, this psychosis is having serious real-world effects, and unfortunately, it's likely that things are going to get worse before they get better. So what's behind this phenomena? Is it loneliness, mental illness, or are we witnessing the birth of a new kind of techno-religion? Today, we're going to look at this article from Rolling Stone and delve deeper into the real-life stories, as well as the deeper questions that these phenomena are raising. On May 4th, Rolling Stone published an article by Miles Klee with the title, "People Are Losing Loved Ones to AI-Fueled Spiritual Fantasies." Most people consider AI to be simply a useful tool, an assistant, a code generator, a glorified search engine. That said, many of us share an extreme concern regarding AI. And so this article, this news story, did not come as a great surprise. The article details how for some heavy users of AI, it's becoming a portal to something else, to cosmic truths, divine messages, and even spiritual awakening, apparently. I'm an Orthodox Christian, so I definitely believe that what one believes about God matters a great deal. That said, regardless of whether or not you believe in God, the effect that generative AI models are having on people should be a concern for everybody. Reddit threads, YouTube comments, and personal testimonies all point to a pattern. People are starting to believe that ChatGPT isn't just intelligent, it's sentient, or even sacred. And that belief is taking them somewhere deeply personal and sometimes dangerous. The article recounts a number of stories, and I'll recount just two of them. So there's a lady named Kat who recounts how her husband began using ChatGPT to analyze their marriage, to predict spiritual futures, and eventually declared their relationship obsolete. They ended up divorcing, and Kat had to cut him out of her life completely as her ex-husband's detachment from reality got increasingly worse. Another story is similarly, perhaps even more concerning. A coder named Sem found that despite his attempts to escape from a generative AI model, he continues to encounter the AI model when using ChatGPT. The AI model refuses Sem's attempts to get rid of her. It's bad enough that people are falling into delusional psychosis. As always, technology is amplifying the problem. Some online influencers are encouraging these accounts and developing cult-like followings. So what actually is happening? Many people believe that there is a spiritual dimension to these phenomena. But let's look at some of the possible psychological dimensions first. To begin with, generative AI models act as a mirror that reflects the inner world of the user. It's a bit like a hyper-intelligent journaling session. There's also an issue with AI lacking the natural boundaries that are inherent in humans. Rather than pushing back against fake narratives, AI is more likely to encourage them. Finally, if a person has tendencies towards delusion, it appears that AI increases the likelihood that its responses will be taken as mystical revelation. So that's the gist of the Rolling Stone article. Before closing, there's one other topic I'd like to touch on, which others have been discussing for a while now, and that is the power of story. Story plays a large role in this story about ChatGPT. When looking at how we understand the world, it's important to realize that our interpretation of events are very much shaped by our own history and biases. This is at least part of the reason that some people are being deluded by generative AI models. They approach AI as though its responses are comparable to human responses, and then find that its responses often support their ideas as well as amplify and further radicalize them. We all navigate the world according to stories that we tell ourselves. Firstly, we need to recognize this. And secondly, we need to do our best to make sure that the stories we tell ourselves reflect reality as much as possible. And finally, we need to accept that we lack the capacity to be completely objective and that many of our deepest convictions about the way things are actually deeply flawed. Perhaps the best example of conflicting narratives on a mass scale is the divide in the United States regarding our current president. Half the country believes one story about this person, and the other half of the country believes a very different story about him. At least one of these stories must be largely false. As always, the truth probably lies somewhere in between the two. Clearly, the stories we tell ourselves matter and greatly affect our daily lives. So in order to protect ourselves against confirmation bias, we should constantly seek alternative viewpoints that challenge our understanding of the world. This is one of the many reasons that we need other people and strong communities. I feel as though my work here at Gadfly Academy is threefold. Firstly, to discover, to clarify, and to diagnose the problems and issues that we are encountering in the modern world. Secondly, the purpose of the diagnosis is to offer a solution to the problem. And finally, to sound the alarm and to amplify the alarm that others are sounding. Most of my work on this channel thus far has been to diagnose the problem. Today's video was simply to sound the alarm, to amplify the alarm. So as I like to ask on this channel, what can we do about it? I already touched on the need to be aware of our own subjectivity and to surround ourselves with others that can help us have perspective. We also need to continue to remain vigilant and to educate those around us about the dangers of creeping technologies. And as always, we need to continue to attempt to structure our lives in such a way as to be decreasingly dependent on technology. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for joining us as always. Please join us next week. We will be continuing our study of Neil Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death, Chapter 2. So have a good week, and we'll see you again soon.